Oh yeah, what's up? It's Demented, and today I'm going to be reviewing Funnyastro. That is someone who I've held in a pretty high regard, just in general, because I think in terms of Western main supports, considering, us looking at Moth last time, that was rough, but hopefully I'm wanting to see what I didn't see in Moth in Funnyastro. I'm hoping so that I hopefully don't lose all faith in NA main supports. So with that being said, let me start my lo-fi and get into my normal preface. So hi, I'm Demented, and I am someone who looks very analytically at the main support category in Overwatch because I think the role really needs to be developed and no one else is going to step up, so I will. And for that reason, I am going to be very critical. I am going to be a lot more harsh than the average reviewer that's only out of sheer want for the role to be better and nothing against the individual person. So with that being said, let's get into it. Okay. Harassing Jinwoo here already is fine. I mean, this is just, I guess this is gonna be weird because they're also playing against hunters, so, but this is also gonna be good for seeing how Funnyastro is against adversity. So something that's very slight right there that you can kind of see is, like, typically I've been kind of a stickler about crossfade usage, and you see him swap to speed, and I was just about to call him on it, but it was only because they were going, and the amp does fully get used on speed, and this is where I kind of have a problem. So this is, like, if you are going to hard speed in, you have to complete that. You can't half-ass it. And the reason that I think that it's half-assed, if we look from the overhead perspective, if we're saying that the amp started around here-ish, roughly, very roughly, and ended around here-ish, why did we have to amp to move that distance? Amp speed nonetheless, because if you take a corner fast, which obviously, like, Late Young is very weak here and is very follow up onable, and they do a good job of that, but it's very rough from me looking at this being like, why would you not just, like, stay on speed, especially because the other team doesn't have a Lucio? You're going to outpace them regardless, so all you have to do during this rotation is make sure Ameng doesn't fuck with you. But if you complete the rotation, run at their backline or whoever you're going after, if D.Va is still the hack target, same applies. You just speed and catch up to him, wait for the actual engagement to happen, especially like when they have a slam that's bound to go off eventually. You then have a kind of a trigger for your own beat, instead of now not being at a complete loss, but like that was a rough amount of ult charge lost. Especially because they're, like, they did get payoff in terms of they killed Late Young. That's a good heal amp. This is fine. Little bit of crossfade issues. Okay. Like, again, here I don't think we need to be going back and forth. But Funnyastro does seem to be playing a very 0 to 100 Lucio, and what I mean by that is, like, either 100% speeding or 100% healing, which that's what I like to see. Now there I would have preferred to see him stick on a wall. I don't know why he kind of, like, overextended a little bit. That was kind of rough, and, like, he just kind of got caught out, as well as, like, ultimately I guess to go into more of an overhead perspective, like none of like this wrapping that hunters are doing in terms of like Aming being here and like them having like this direction that they could go, them having leave from this direction, monk from here, and then like Jinmu from here. They literally have a like square of aggression. And out here where fucking where Funnyastro dies, it's like, why you're giving them so much more value, because you getting spammed out before they even like have to commit the pressure to like pressure out point from these 4 separate ways. Dying before that really can put a damper on you. But in terms of ult charge usage, which is why, or I guess just ult charge in general, which is why I've been looking, or why I specifically chose this VOD, keeping up with Nisha, as well as actually being a little bit above Nisha, which granted, this is a hard matchup for Nisha to do well in, but Nisha is Nisha, so obviously they're gonna be the first one to ult. So, and I was thinking about this recently, but like I don't know if there's any, if Funnyastro doesn't end up being that good, which I doubt, because I think he's done very well. What is, like, who is good in NA then? Or is this just like a hope thing? So I don't know how I feel about not using Beat here. Maybe it just wasn't in the plan. But personally, I mean, obviously hindsight would be really cool if you were able to like beat the fucking pulse. But as soon as these guys have Trank up and are rallying, I don't know if they're waiting to like flip after and like switch the tempo up after hunters are done with their burst of ults that they're using, or what. But because they also use mines as well, so I'm just a little, I don't hate that he didn't use beat, because it would have been wasted most likely, but I guess I can see that as a positive as well, that he is very mindful of the different ults and stuff that are in play, and what's going on. Like, that shows a very good macro understanding. Okay, this is a little rough. So he looks a little lost here. So the way that I said earlier, how he plays a very like 0 to 100 Lucio, you see how he gets kind of like confused here? So I don't think that's a decision making thing, but that was like a very weird timing thing that ended up like costing alarm for it. That boop was amazing. But yeah, I haven't seen a horrible amount of like unnecessary crossfades, which is what I personally think is the big difference maker. Okay, now this I hate, because a fight like this happening, and what I mean by this I can get into in a second, is like the result of this fight feels unaffected by how well or unwell Funnyastro would have played. Because if we're looking back and checking in hindsight, like, yeah, the tracer got checked, but then we wasted an entire speed amp to catch up with mono, while we're also now not about to be in overtime. Like, it's not like just about around the corner, but realistically, if you're looking at this this percentage, like, you basically have one fight if you're in control and like 2 fights if they're in control, which easily means you want to have another beat in this round. Like, you want to be prepared to have that ult economy going into that. So that's just, I guess, kind of sloppy would be the best way to say it. A little lazy, I guess, could also be another word for it. Okay, so I mean, again, marking leave I think is pretty much fine. But because marking both the Tracer and Baller Lucio are not, they're not necessities, but they're not throws at all. Where, like, if you can do it and also keep your job in general, like what you're doing, it as good, then you're fine. But I'm more interested to see how his brig holds up, because that's where I think a bunch of people are bro, like, man, that's why I want people to know how fucking good not only Lucio heal amp peel is, or self peel rather, but Moira peel as well. Like, look at this. In what universe are you 18 HP after just getting slammed and you survive? That is a scary amount of damage that they're able to do in such a short amount of time. I want to start looking at some of the boop usages. Because, like, there was a little bit better because it was on... I don't like that boop. The boops might need some work. That one's fine because that marked Ameng. Dude, poor Late Young. That was interesting, but not something that I really care about. Okay. We have beat, and again, look at the old difference between Funnyastro and Nisha. This obviously is a weird and unfair comparison because Nisha is on Brig into Brawl, so that's obviously going to be harder. But that just gives you a perspective of how fast people could be building beat, as well as, like, I think honestly for Koth maps it should be a minimum to be getting beat in first fight, because it's not as hard as many people think, as long as you're playing correctly. This spy checking is all fine. I have the hiccups a little bit, sorry. Nice mark. That, I really like that so much. Okay, I don't like this. This is starting to look a little rough. But, like, what I want you to notice here is look how much harder not only Ameng, but Leave have to work for what they want to do. So Ameng is coming right side because he wants to go for a fucking thing. Gets booped. And then Funnyastro is just making it, and obviously Hoppa's helping, and that's all good and dandy, but, like, think about how much harder that Tracer is having to work for that, as well as staying out of the Sorry for yawning, but staying out of the whole like thing for and I can be more specific once my brain starts working. But being out of the fight in general, and I mean the wind up for the beat was unlucky, but I think it was kind of needed if he wanted to get over to the right side of point. So this scouting bottom right is really good. This is why I definitely think that Funnyastro is one of if not the best Western Lucio. But like this is why I'm so interested to see how his brig does. Cause if his brig is decent, is even like average, and same with the mercy, but I don't know if we'll get a mercy VOD. But again, if his brig is just average, I think you have a person here who is not only a top contender, but is the outright, like, the top contender. So I have high hopes, but doesn't seem to be looking for the ball after seeing it. Okay, he's keeping a good mark on him. Is anticipating where he's coming from. Using those big ears of his. Don't like that bash, but whatever. Don't like this. Okay. This entire engage just got off because he prediction flailed. Which, not to mention, like, yes, they are on Sombra, but, like, just in general, swinging around with Briggs, pardon me, Briggs range, like, look at this. Like, that is a good sweeping tool. That is quite literally a sweep. So using that to its fullest is so much better than, I think, just like kind of tossing out flail, because that's the whole reason that this engage gets off. So we haven't procced inspire up to this point because of cooldown management. Okay, I'm a little bit appalled now. So first off, like, if Astro stays in this window and just flails Nisha, that's all you need. Because right now, Nisha is trying to be a middleman, trying to not be too far up, not be too far back. Flailing forward a brig into them being out of position is fucking so scary for them. And that's where you want to, like, make people on the other team, like, respect you, not this. I mean, the proc was good. The means of getting the proc were not. I was not the biggest fan of it. So up to this point, cooldowns are a little wacky. But I'm still hopeful. I'm still high on copium. Again, dude, especially because if you're like, that is the second time that now, like, you are openly telling Ameng, I will eventually flail to spy check, so don't worry about, like, getting flailed while you're going for an actual engage or rotation. So that's already very scary. Another missed proc, but I mean the heart was there. in going for the diva. But now, like, we are in a really bad position. Because, like, imagine if anything happened while we were just kind of pacing up and down these stairs. Like, sure, if the ball came in while we dropped, that would have been bad. But, like, if Ameng actually commits here, which I don't think he should, granted, but look how far away we are to like finish and follow up. And it's not even like we're hard spy checking. So we have still only procced Inspire once up to this point. Very notable. Still have yet to proc Inspire. Still are waiting on it. So I don't think Astro is aware that after you hit Whip Shot, it's a lot more consistent to go up, throw normal flail, and then bash out. Because that's what I'm seeing here. Or that's what I'm not seeing here, rather. As well as, like, I think these flails are just really impatient, to be honest. This was a steep drop. That flail is really good because it knocks them off point, gets rid of their point presence. Yeah, just it's a mix of like positioning, cooldown usage isn't good. There's a lot of levels to this. You like, man, I don't understand the full combo anymore. The only time I think you ever full combo on brig is when it's you versus the other brig. And it's like a one-on-one scenario. I like this positioning just outright. I think it's rough for the other team to try and take from you. That is fucking horrifying. Okay. We had a brig 1.0 moment in terms of that survivability. Okay, so the flail comes out on the Sombra miraculously. This is still scary as shit. Because right now, you now have Hotba who's separated from Astro and Carpe. And Astro is rallying Y. And I think the default answer would be because they just got dove. But they just got dove in a room that they have now kited out of. And now, like, I mean, the bash on Late Young also, I don't know, was Late Young using, like, micros or anything? Because this could just be a bad bash on Late Young as well. Nah, nah. Doesn't really do it for anything else. And then like, holy fuck, 3 HP at one point. Like, the shield dancing pre-hack was rough. There is quite legitimately a free mine for Inspire right here, and it's not being taken. That's a good flail. Yeah, like, I think This is like the people that are like, yeah, I play an aggressive style of brig. And I mean, same thing as Lucio. That's like the quirkiest thing you could ever say. They're like, I'm not like other brig players. I'm not like other Lucio players. You cannot teach this. But I don't know. Like, this just seems very uncomfortable from the character. So, I mean, in terms of... I'll even, like, I think this might be the last Western main support that I have to look at. Because after I look at that... Holy shit. Look how aggressive this bash is. Well, like, first off, why don't we have bash to mark Aming? Like, boom, nice. We got some good procs. Why did we bash for that? And then we hear Aming. We somehow flail him on the way out. But look how aggressive this is. Peeking Monk to try and bash engage. That is just bad news. That sounds fucking horrible. Like, this looks like gameplay of someone who still thinks Brig 1.0 is a thing. And not only thinks that it's a thing, but thinks that it is the most effective way to play Brig. I mean, that was fine in terms of the fucking, what am I trying to think of? The attention he was taking away. That seemed very very good. I'll maybe watch the attack, and I don't know if this round goes into extra things, but I don't think I would like to watch all of that. So okay. Because again, this is something that, like, okay, is what it is. Would have been cool to see a peek around a corner with your shield up. It's kind of why you have it. But nonetheless, bashing in a rotation like that is fine. Okay, he knows where Aming is. That was a rough. These are rough cooldowns. Really, really rough. Like, I don't want to just like end this map just saying like I've seen all that I need to see, but I think I have seen all that I need to see. And I think you watching could probably agree with me that like this is just all around the board kind of rough. Like there is just so rough. Like there was literally no reason to aggro bash a Sombra and is in the same instance whipshot them away. That's just painful. Okay. I mean, this is a fine rally though. And that's something that, like, even though there's not a whole lot that can carry over to brig play, um, like, something that can is tempo, or tempo, like, acknowledgement, I guess. And just knowing, when to, like, that's a fine mark. That stuff's a fine mark, but it's like, all the stuff in between is just messy. Doesn't seem necessary. Like, see, as soon as you're marking the fucking... Look how often he's proccing Inspire now. This is easily up, like, almost the entire fight. That's so good. This entire fight has been good. But everything before that, with, like, the aggressive bash into whip shotting, like I said, that was a lot more rough. But I mean, I think that's all I probably need to see, and I'll just come to the conclusion that it's inconsistent. And that I think it might be a patience thing as well. The last thing that I would want to see is Junkertown, because I feel like Junkertown might have Astro on Mercy. Mercy. That's brig. We're getting closer. Absolutely not. Okay, I just want to see if there's yes, anything else to look at. I don't know if Busan has anything worth looking at, because seeing his Mercy would be pretty entertaining. Actually, I think I'm gonna cut it off, solely just because tomorrow, or actually on the day that you're watching this, I am getting my wisdom teeth taken out. So I'm basically going to my appointment after I sleep in about like 10 hours or some shit, roughly, or like 12 hours or some shit. So let me get to a screen to end on, and I can wrap this up, because if I'm just going off generally, or my general my general remembrance, I don't think Funnyastro's Mercy has ever been horrible. So I mean, for that reason, I would probably put Lucio first, Mercy second, even though we didn't see it. We'll just put a question mark by it as well, just in case, and then Brig to top it off, in this order, because the Lucio pretty much looked clean almost all the way through. The boops, again, as I mentioned, could get cleaned up. I mean, obviously we didn't see the Mercy, but I mean, realistically, it's Mercy. And I think, as I stated with Brig, even though like some stuff like mechanically can't get shifted over from things like Lucio to something like Mercy, the tempo thing can really get maneuvered around easily, and that's what I would expect to see from this, and that's what I think I did. That's what I think I did see. So and I mean, the brig, we kind of saw like the peak and also like the worst, which isn't good because it was all in one map. So seeing that there was like a weird mix of bad cooldown usage, bad positioning and shit, and then going from that to like I feel like a lot of brigs just need to figure out that they need to play the same way they would in an overtime scenario. Like, you want to play your life, you want to be in the center of everyone and constantly procking Inspire. And that's what he ended up doing towards the end, but on the defense, we did not see that very much. So for that reason, that's going to be dead last. But to talk about just Western main sports in general, I think he's a top contender still, even though that he's a I mean, I think it's unfair to say Lucio one trick. With work, if he looks at his brig and gets his brig to be consistently like it was in the overtime fight on Volskaya, we have the like I definitely think we have the top contender for main support easily. But until then, only time will tell. So with that being said, I appreciate the fuck out of all of you for watching, and next I believe I have planned for me to review Evil Tool. I don't know when that's gonna be. I also have another video in the works, but that's gonna take a long time to record and edit and everything, so I don't know when that's coming out. But until then, I appreciate the fuck out of you, and if you want to know whenever I upload, you can follow me on Twitter, and also hit the bell fucking whatever thing. So again, I love the fuck out of all of you, and I will see you when I see you. Later.